It is the last week of November, which means we only have a month left of 2024. And if you are anything like me, girl, you know we are already thinking about 2025, what we want to accomplish, and what we need to do in order to get there. Welcome back to the Stella Herself podcast, y'all. Thank you so much for joining me. Y'all know I upload every Thursday, so definitely make sure to subscribe. And since I upload every Thursday, this episode is going live on Thanksgiving Day. So I just want to let y'all know that I am so thankful for each and every one of you. I just was live on my TikTok, and there were so many OGs from back in the day, people that have been subscribed to me since the vegan days and some since even before that. And I just really want to thank you guys for being there, on this journey with me. I feel like I've been through so many different phases throughout the years, and it's so cool to be able to have my day ones that really, understand and that we're there. And I feel like we're growing up together. Even if you found me later on, I am still so thankful for you and grateful for your time and your energy. Even if you just like something, that really means a lot. So thank you. So there's a lot of content here and there, especially if you're anything like me. My YouTube algorithm especially is so like how to glow up, how to lock in, mindset, how to unlock it, how to be better, do better, all of that. And something I have actually recently kind of realized about myself, the ultimate key to true success, glowing up, and leveling up is knowing yourself and knowing your weaknesses and what it is that you specifically need to work on. So for example, all of October, you guys know, I was doing Sober October. I didn't drink, I didn't go out much. I was very locked in the house, keeping to myself, and it felt very good and natural to do. It did not feel like a struggle. I was not craving to go out or anything like that. Maybe it's because it's Sagittarius season now, but over the past few weeks, I have been feeling very burnt out. I've been feeling very, uninspired, just lack of energy, lack of enthusiasm, and I'm like, this isn't normal. What's happening? I came to the conclusion, I'm just, doing too much. It's time for me to switch things up. It's time for me to switch my routine, change my routine, maybe go out, be a little more social, try something different. Because what I was doing before of locking in, keeping to myself, basically just being very productive day in and day out, I'm burned out from it. I can't do it anymore. So being adaptable and being mindful and self-reflective enough to realize when you need to make a change and what kind of change that may be. Because I feel like a lot of advice in just in life, in the self-help community, in the that girl glow up community, it's always very coming from the perspective of you're not doing enough, or you need to be more productive, or you need to, wake up earlier. And it's very all concentrating, funneling you into, that, which some people really do need that advice. And that is going to work for some person, is leaning more into that. But I feel like for a lot of people, a lot of the girlies out there, perfectionist, if you're very type A, we need to learn how to chill out and how to introduce some more balance. A lot of people, men and women in our society, a lot of people are workaholics, and you kind of use your work and productivity as either a way to escape yourself and your emotions and what it is you truly want or what you are truly feeling, which sometimes is painful, therefore we don't want to face it, or or we're measuring our own self-worth based on the amount of things we're accomplishing and getting done. And everything, especially if you're in a creative field, you're going to have seasons where you're feeling more creative and you're doing quote unquote better than other times. Sometimes the ideas just aren't flowing. Sometimes you need to go out and just live your life and try different things and experience different people and whatnot in order to get those creative juices flowing. So therefore it's you can't just feel like a failure half the time because my creative ideas aren't 10 out of 10 right now, So I think it's just really about knowing when to pivot and knowing what kind of season you're in and fully embracing that. Because there's a lot to be said for structure, the force yourself method, sticking to a plan, etc. And then sometimes it's you need to truly tune in to what your inner voice and your body and like your soul is kind of craving in the sense of sometimes it's just going to be too much resistance to try to force yourself into a certain mindset. And because our society is so, productivity, capitalism, do more, make more, if we're not in that season internally, we're going to feel like something's wrong. It's going to feel like that much more of a struggle because our inner season is not matching up with, the vision we have externally for our lives. So my point being, there's not a lot of examples, in everyday society of like embracing your inner winter or like your inner like rest time or anything like that. It's all like, oh, motivational, like let's just do more, let's wake up earlier, let's like see if we can get another, like this is how to habit stack so you can accomplish more and more. And it's like really just multitasking and you're like actually feeling like horrible. Another point to this, if you are somebody who has trouble relaxing and resting and like you feel guilty for taking a rest day or just like doing nothing or like I should be doing something, like I need to be being productive, like oh my god, we only ever have the present moment. And especially as I get older and I have more life, and more experiences to look back on, it's so true that you really don't realize what you have a lot of the times until it's taken away from you or until you're out of that phase of life or until your life looks differently. Because there are so many instances I can think about now where I'm like, damn, I didn't know how good I had it, or like, damn, I should have like taken advantage of that more, or like that circumstance, or like living there, this, that, whatever. And it's so easy to, get in that kind of mindset of like, I should have done differently. I should have known better. But the truth is you don't know something until you know it. So if you catch yourself kind of getting into that habit of thinking, just kind of, remind yourself, probably during that time I was doing the same thing. I was looking back to an earlier memory like, damn, it was so good then, So in order to stop that, you need to be present and look to the future in an optimistic way, not in like an anxiety, like stressing about it, like still not being present, but like, okay, yeah, I should have taken more advantage of that opportunity, or I should have like not let my fear decide what my decision was going to be in that instance. So what we can learn from that is, I don't want to feel like this again in the future looking back now. So now let me seize the day. Let me take full advantage of all my resources and opportunities at hand to create the life that I want. And I know there's memes of like I know the Kim Cattrall quote of like, I don't want to be in a situation for even an hour where I'm not enjoying myself. But like honestly, facts, because this is like a huge thing of law of attraction as well. It's like, choose the lightest possible task or like decision. Like if you have an option of like what you can do, it's like, okay, what feels the lightest? And obviously sometimes, we just have to get something done and like do something, like maybe going to the dentist stresses you out, but like you still have to go. But it's like, there's still little decisions you can make in all of these tasks and just the day-to-day where it's like, okay, let me just make this a little lighter for myself, a little more enjoyable, a little more fun. Because if you're not doing that, it's like so much of, oh, like I want to become that girl. I want to become the next best version of myself. It's like, you're not going to get there by being stressed out every day, feeling horrible, burning yourself out, like beating yourself up and like talking down to yourself. Like if you did that to a child, that child would grow into like a really harmed person, like a very damaged person. So you need to treat yourself like a child in the sense that you need love, you need positivity, you need optimism, you need some firm boundaries with yourself. You can be stern with yourself, but you don't have to beat yourself up and like bully yourself, because that's just really not healthy and not going to give you the results that you want, And then I think also practicing a curiosity with yourself, that's something, you also may do with a child or just another person. It's like, instead of immediately getting angry and like yelling and like, why would you do that? How could you? It's like, okay, well, like, why did you do that? Like, what was going through your mind? And coming from a place of curiosity. So maybe if it's like, if you're really dreading going to the gym, for example, or like a task or like trying something new that you know is in your best interest, but you like are really scared to do it, you have a lot of anxiety over it, instead of being like, I shouldn't feel like that, like, no, like this should come easily, like, why isn't it, and just feeling worse and worse, you can gently ask yourself and like have a curiosity about it, which is ultimately going to be way more productive than just being rude to yourself, because babes, you don't deserve that. So there are a few different tips that I feel like are pretty general, but that I want to get a little more specific into and kind of hopefully give you a new fresh spin on them, because, you know, the end of the year is coming up, and I feel like the lead up to the end of the year is just as important as starting the new year. And also, I know we've talked about this on my podcast before in years past, but I really feel like the true new year does not begin until spring. So even though it's about to be like a new year, like 2025, it's like these winter months are still like the glow up, like lock in winter arc season, you know, like we're not really gonna fully feel it, at least I don't, until like spring starts. And then it's like, okay, like it's really fresh energy and like a fresh year, you know, because this whole time it's like, it's still winter, like babes, yeah, it's about to be a new year, but it's still like winter. It's like, I don't even have a tan. Like, why would I feel like it's a new energy? Like, I don't know. So the first thing, which is like in every advice video, but a morning routine upgrade. And for me, again, this does not always look like just waking up as early as possible and like trying to cram as much stuff in and like, etc. I think it's truly about mindfulness in the sense of asking yourself each and every morning, if you're able to, schedule is permitting, like, what do I truly feel like doing? And I don't know, this might, like, this is an instance where you might have to be a little stern with yourself, because if you know you are one to need to, like, want to stay in bed, sleep in, scroll on your phone every morning, and you want to get out of doing that, like, sometimes that might feel like what you want to do, but you have to be stern with yourself and like kind of be reasonable in the sense of like, yeah, there's like what would be the easiest to do, but then there's that balance of like, I need to get to my goals, but while still enjoying myself as much as possible while doing it, you know? So just keep that in mind. But like, for me, for example, I like woke up a little stressed today because I was like, which like not majorly, but just when I was going through what I wanted to do today, it's like, I know I want to do a heavy leg day because I took 2 days off from the gym. So I know this leg day is going to be popping, and I need to record my podcast, and like there's a few other things I need to do, like filming TikToks, doing emails, that kind of thing. And sometimes when I do a really heavy leg day, I'm a little tired after. So typically I like to go to the gym first thing, but I was like, let me just take a nice refreshing walk that will de-stress me, get me centered for my day, then get ready and film, and then gym. And that just felt so much better mentally. So even just little things like that, like switching certain things around to best fit how you're feeling that day and what you need to do that day, it really makes all the difference. Sometimes the most productive, best thing you can do for yourself is letting yourself have that extra 30 minutes or whatever of sleep, rather than forcing yourself to get up. And like, I know I talk about it all the time, but like, especially being a woman in our hormone cycles, like some weeks we genuinely need more rest than other weeks because of our hormones and what our body is doing or like going through. So being adaptable, you know, and again, not beating yourself up for like not looking 100,000% productive every day, because what might be the most productive for you one day, it may look totally different than another day, depending on what it is you need to do. Again, like what you're going through hormonally, time of the month, what other stresses are going on in your life. And so just kind of taking yourself, like allowing yourself to have that flow and freedom, and just knowing that whatever you're doing in the moment that's best for you truly is going to lead you to where you need to be. Because again, if you're just forcing yourself to like wake up at 5 a.m. every day, and then it's like you're tired, and then you're burnt out, and then you have too much caffeine, and you're just like, what was the point of that? It's like, you might think, oh, but I'm being productive, but really it's like you're not. Trying to get into that flow state, like checking in with your body, which again, it's like, that's not always really promoted or like normalized when you're looking into like, how can I self-improve, or how can I be better? What should my New Year's resolutions be? You know, like sometimes it's like prioritize rest. But it's not always like, okay, show me how to do that. It's not going to look the same for everyone, and it's not even going to look the same for you each day or each week. So just being in tune with your body, and that also gets you more in tune with your intuition, so you make better decisions and you just have a clearer sense of your own personal definition of success, and just enjoying yourself in the moment, because it's never like, if you're in a bad headspace, you could accomplish every single goal and dream you could imagine, but if you're in a negative headspace, that's going to carry out. That's always going to be with you. So it's about feeling good first, and then everything, like, you'll just be able to enjoy your life so much more. Another tip, which kind of goes into that, is focusing on your long-term goals rather than instant gratification. And I feel like this is kind of a no-brainer, like, we don't need that much of an explanation. But this kind of goes into, you know, okay, sometimes it might actually feel the best to, like, scroll in my bed for 3 hours on TikTok, but I have to think about my long-term goals, which is I want to feel refreshed, good, you know, calm, chill, like, fulfilled, and scrolling doesn't really give me those feelings. Like, it might temporarily, but overall, like, that's not really going to do much for me. So with that in mind, it's like, okay, let me get up, let me go on a walk, let me, like, do what it is that I have to do. Your confidence is also so important, and it's just crazy how much your external world shifts, and, like, mostly people's reaction to you when you have confidence. Probably the craziest, most shocking experience I've had with this is getting out of, like, a toxic kind of bad relationship. After ending that relationship, I knew that I felt better, like, so much better inwardly, but I was not consciously like, oh, I'm gonna, like, talk to more people, I'm gonna be more confident. Like, I was still kind of going through it emotionally, like, trying to just recover from that experience. Just even that much separation from being in a toxic, just really harmful relationship, my energy was that much different that suddenly I had way more interactions with people. Like, people were way more drawn to me, and not just, like, guys hitting on me, but, like, I specifically remember this little girl kept looking at me and, like, pointing at me, like, in a sweet way, you know, and then her mom was like, oh, like, she wanted me to tell you that she thinks you're really pretty, and I was like, oh my god, like, that's so sweet. And we just started having this whole conversation about, like, shoes and, like, our clothes and all this stuff. And it was so wholesome and pure. And I just kept having interactions like that more and more frequently after getting out of a bad situation. And it was just kind of like my energy was shifted. You know, I was no longer in this dark place, and I wasn't even fully aware of it at the time. But I just started to have, like, all of these, like, better interactions. So the point being, when you feel good internally, and even if you're just on the road to feeling good and feeling better, getting out of a dark place, whether that was, like, an abusive relationship or just, like, mentally yourself, like, which we go going through it sometimes, it's just crazy how much your external world shifts. But it's so true that it really does have to start from within, because people can really feel energy, and some people more than others for sure, but, like, you're just gonna have a way better experience if you feel good and, like, you don't think that people are judging you, or, like, it just depends. Like, if you have an inner belief that people don't like you, or that people are scary, or that people are gonna judge you, you kind of walk around giving that vibe off, and it's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy, you know? So kind of retraining your brain, if that is an issue for you, to be like, I'm poppin'. Actually, I saw this video where this girl was like specifically about dating and, like, picking up guys at the bar. No, but she was like, instead of thinking, like, I'm trying to get $10,000 from this guy or from a guy tonight, like, get someone's number, it's like, you have to think of it as, I have $10,000 to give away, and who do I think deserves it? And it just kind of shifts your energy. A lot of people were, like, finding that stuck with them in the comments, so let me know if it sticks for you. You know, sometimes you never know what kind of little tip and trick you need. But yeah, just really working on your inner energy so that that comes out externally and you have more confidence, and also just practicing talking to people, you know, and getting comfortable in doing that. My last tip as far as manifesting 2025 goals and kind of just preparing for that is quantum leaping, which I've talked about before, I think in a YouTube video most recently actually. But that's basically where you step into the version of yourself that you want to become. So instead of, again, like, oh, I'll be happy, like thinking to yourself, I'll be happy, I'll be my best self once I accomplish this thing, once I get to this many followers, once I'm making this much money. You have to just start acting like that now. And I've really had to do this. Like, for me, I feel like this really comes down to my social media, my content. Like, sometimes I just really don't like a piece of content. I'm just like, I hate this. Like, but I'm like, I feel like I need to get a video out, so like, let me just post it anyway. And then that just kind of creates this cycle of like, if I'm not doing my best work, less people are going to watch it, and then I feel more discouraged, so I'm less likely to make a better video. If I was my ideal self, what kind of content would that be? And so, like, it sounds silly, but that's really been like a main thing for me right now, and as far as like goals and stepping up my content and all of that. And I was just talking about this in my TikTok live as well, but like for me, it's like focusing on quality over quantity, and just kind of focusing your energy on like what you truly feel like is like your best work, and building off of that versus like half-ass doing something and then like feeling discouraged and like embarrassed and like, I don't even like this. But the gym too, I know that's a big thing for a lot of people. Like, you can't wait until you're a gym girly to be a gym girly. You have to like become that first, and then the results will come. And that also just helps so much with building that confidence, and in your day-to-day decisions, like what I was talking about earlier, it's like you can look at it through that lens of what would my ideal self, who's accomplished all these things and like has all these things that I do want, what would they do in this instance, and do that. And then you start like building, and then you create the life, because it's starting from within. So I would love to hear your thoughts on any of those tips and tricks and your experiences, and what some of your goals are, perhaps what you've learned this past year. A few hot topics I wanted to discuss. Number one, starting on a light note, and then we have a heavier one. Just this tweet, and I've seen variations of this tweet before, but I think it's just so true. When you look so sexy, it's awkward. And I just really feel this, because do you ever just feel like you can't go anywhere because like it just like looks so good, like for me, most recently it's the gym and the grocery store, which I feel like could, dare I say, should be places of peace, tranquility, girly pop vibes. I don't know what it is, y'all. I don't know what it is, but I don't want to say it's harassment. It's not. I mean, sometimes bros love me at the grocery store. The bros love me at the gym. They want to be my friend, quote unquote, so bad. And it's like going into these situations, which obviously I go to the gym every day. I go to the grocery store at least once a week, usually a little bit more. It depends. Like, it depends. I have to mentally prepare. Like, I'm about to have so many conversations in here. Whoever I decide I'm going to date next, they need to be prepared for that. When you look so sexy, it's awkward. And I'm not even trying to look sexy, bro. Like, I cover my ass when I go out and about. Especially now it's winter, it's very easy. I wear my long puffer, like my long coat. Sometimes it's like a fan club. It feels like a little fan club. And I'm like, okay, hi guys, like, bye. To my future man, you're gonna seriously you might have a problem on your hands. Like, I was gonna say know how to fight. Like, it's not that serious. It could be. I don't know, but it just makes you think. When you look so sexy, it's awkward. So, next hot topic. Kind of touched on this this is the thing. I recorded last week, and I was gonna talk about it, but I just ended up making a TikTok about it. But just to kind of reiterate, if y'all have been keeping up with the new trophy wife story, it's like all over TikTok. She has recently released a statement on her YouTube channel, because, y'all, I just think it's so disgusting. So basically, if you don't know who she is, I was subscribed to her on YouTube for a while, but she made YouTube videos about hypergamy. She was very inspired by Shira 7, and all her videos were about, how to get a provider husband, a provider man, all of that, and like her kids and like dating with kids and all this stuff. So she was cute. She was like very pretty. You could definitely tell she's like younger than Shira. I think she's still like in her 20s, I think. I don't really think their personalities are similar at all. Like, sometimes they talk about similar stuff. She hadn't posted in a long time, and I knew she was pregnant. Like, I really watched her videos. So I was like, maybe she's just been busy with her baby. Like, I don't know. And then literally on the full moon, which y'all know the tea always comes out on the full moon. And I hate to even say this is tea, because it's not tea. It's like a really horrible, tragic situation. she basically came out, trigger warning, and she basically came out with this horrible story about her husband doing really bad things to her daughters who she had with him. She has 2 older boys that she had before this husband. And it was just a really heartbreaking video. Like, I cried watching it for the first time. Like, it was just really sad. It was just very hard to watch, and it was kind of like on a new level, you know, with kids being involved, and it was just very heartbreaking. And yeah, I was like, thank God, you know, she left him and like took action immediately, because that's just like really sad. And she also kind of hinted here and there about how he had kind of been abusive and how she had overlooked a lot of red flags at the beginning. So this like took off because, you know, Sprinkle Sprinkle is such a movement right now, especially on TikTok, and it's like very trendy. So people started to talk about it very quickly, and so quickly, y'all, like so quickly. It's like all of these women, which like it be your own, just victim blaming the fuck out of this woman and coming up with these insane, disgusting accusations of like she probably knew all along, like she needs to be arrested. It's like she just found out this horrible thing happened to her 4-year-old and her 2-year-old. And people are trying to spin it. And it's like, this is exactly why people don't come forward, and exactly why victims of abuse, especially, you know, domestic abuse, don't come forward. Because it's like, oh, well, if it's your husband, you had to have known. Like, that's your fault. Like, you probably knew about it and were okay with it. It's like, I cannot believe some of the things that women on TikTok were saying. And then people trying to say, like, this is why you don't date for money. And, like, this is why, you know, you can't be delusional and all this stuff. And it's like, you just know. Like, even look at how people talk about Ekane. I don't know if y'all follow her on TikTok. She's so funny. She finally left her abusive relationship, baby daddy. But, like, then people will bully her and be like, well, that's what you get for being with a bestie. Like, you know, like, there's always some kind of angle people can find to blame the woman, the victim. And it's just so disgusting, because it's like, bro, this is going to happen to, I think it's like 1 in 3 women are going to experience some type of domestic abuse. To the people that are just being so victim blaming, it's like, well, I hope it doesn't happen to you. And like, think of all the people in your life that have probably experienced something like this, and now it's like, you're saying this. It's just really disgusting, and this is like why the cycle perpetuates, and why it can be so hard for the woman to leave, or for the victim to leave, because of the shame. The whole thing with abusers and like narcissistic men, sociopaths, etc., like men in that realm, in that category, is they rely on your shame, and like part of their game is isolating you from all other sources of support. So they will cut you off from your friends, your family. They'll make you feel this super, super deep shame about yourself and your life, and like pretty much they are the only person that you can confide in, but then they're also like the abuser. So you're just kind of stuck in this horrible situation, and your mind gets really fucked up and your body gets fucked up. It's really sad, and I think a lot of people are just very misinformed, and since we live in this misogynistic society, people just always want to find a way to blame a woman. And that's not to say that like this woman, you know, it's like, yeah, she did overlook red flags. She could have made better decisions, but she also was a victim even before this. You know, growing up, this had happened to her. Apparently it happened to her mother as well. So it's a very generational cycle. But in leaving, she is breaking that cycle, and like even just in believing her daughter, when her daughter told her, when asked about it, she is breaking that cycle. So I just wish that people would have more compassion, and that people would educate themselves on everything. Because it's not as simple as like, why didn't you just leave? Why didn't you leave at the first red flag? You know, and that's why it is important moving forward. Like, if you've gone through a bad situation, whether it's this extreme or not, it is very true that in moving forward and in, you know, dating in the future or whatever, it's like you really have to be on point and not get emotionally attached too early on to where you're letting these red flags slide. I think that's a really big part of it, because sometimes it's like you're aware of the red flags. It's like you're peeping them, but because you're already emotionally attached, emotionally invested, you just let a lot of things slide, like make excuses, and like if the man lies to you, you will just kind of believe it a little more willingly than you would have otherwise. And that's honestly why I really like Shira Seven's message, because she really advocates for women and for women doing what's best for them, for us, and, you know, just not, you know, not being a pick-me in the sense of, like, not doing the most to keep a man. Like, your relationship with yourself is more important than any relationship with a man. And if you are making decisions in your own best interest and truly following your intuition and, like, not just blindly giving whoever trust and emotional attachment and all this, it's going to be a lot easier for you to get out of situations and, like, avoid potentially harmful situations. So just keeping that in mind. But, like, that's, like, I feel like pretty reasonable. And it's like, I'm not going to make a video about this woman who just came out with this story and be like, this is everything you could have done and you're wrong and, like, you're horrible. Like, people are just so rude and disgusting, and it's like, that just really disgusted me. I really liked, I don't know if you guys follow Mina the Universe Guru. I don't know if she must have made a YouTube video about it, but I just saw a clip of it on TikTok of her talking about the situation, and she just had so much compassion for Isis, the new trophy wife, and I just really agreed with what she was saying, and, like, breaking generational curses and, you know, just having that compassion, because that's really what a victim needs. It's like, bro, especially, I think this is just a really also a sensitive subject for me, because my best friend went through, like, also a very public, you know, situation. You guys can listen to the episode with Sonia, and she talks about it. And still to this day, she will have people messaging her, like, doubting her, being like, well, I don't know, like, did he even go to jail? Like, and, like, people just don't want to believe women so bad, even when there's legal documents, even when the man has gone to jail. And then I just, like, it's just gross to think even about, like most recently, I was thinking about Chris Brown and, like, how he was on Kai's stream, and just, like, how triggering must it be. Like, people will say, oh, these accusations will ruin men's lives, and then, like, the men are just out free, and then there's still women thirsting for them in the comments, and, like, I just can't imagine having your abusive ex, like, still that many people. Well, I mean, unfortunately, I can't imagine it, because it happens, like, all the time, unfortunately. So anyway, sending love to anyone who's ever been a victim of even just, like, a toxic situationship, you know, ranging from that all the way to a horrible incident like the new trophy wife recently talked about and went through. Yeah, I believe you. I'm on your side, and you're not alone, you know, and the shame that you may be feeling or felt, that is unfortunately completely normal, because that's all part of the abuser's game, is to just make you feel, like, so bad about yourself that you can't even leave. And you're not weak, you know, for staying, or for staying as long as you did. It's like they literally dedicate their lives to ruining yours, so it's like they're pretty, like, good at it. I hate to say it. But yeah, like, people need to shut the fuck up, bro. Like, are you serious? That hurt me so bad. Like, I just felt so bad for her, because it's not only just her. Like, it's hard enough when it's just you going through it. It's like your kids, and for people to, like, try to blame her, just openly, like, blabbing, like, just blatantly wrong, it was just really disgusting. So anyway, sending love and compassion to her and her family. I'm so happy she listened to her daughters and got them away from him, and got that, I think she got a temporary restraining order. It's like a whole thing, you know? Listen to those red flags, listen to your gut. Yeah, so I think that's all I'm going to talk about. My locked in sweaters are on sale right now. I'm pretty sure by the time this goes up, so check them out. Don't forget to subscribe to my weekly newsletter. She is so quaint and cute and gives some good little tips. We can spend today just being grateful for ourselves, our lives, and everything 2025 has in store for us. Love you guys so much. Don't forget to post a screenshot on your IG story of you watching or listening, and I will talk to you guys next week. Bye, everyone.